Hey, graduates, it's food for thought today on Let's Cook. Happy graduation. You know, all three of my children are graduating from college this year. And I'm so excited. So I was thinking about my son, Greg, and I said, you know, Greg, I said, to do a graduation party, what type of food would you want? And that's how I came up with today's items. But before I even talk about what we're making today, did you know that when we're talking about brain food, our brain only makes up 2% of our total body weight, yet 30% of the calories we take in every day are used up by the brain. That's why we need iron-rich foods such as extra lean red meat, which hence brings me to the first item we're making today, and we're making a cheesesteak. So I already have a cheesesteak right here on the plate, and I'm serving this on a mini croissant. I'm going to show you how to make this delicious cheesesteak. First thing we're going to do is we have to determine the beef we're going to use. Right here, this is what we would call, this is a cut, sliced round piece of meat, round, you know, that you get at the supermarket that you can use for bruschetta. You know, it's a top round that's just sliced thin. You can use this, you're going to have to cut it very thin. The better meat that I like to use is a skirt steak. This is a skirt steak, comes from the belly. It's richer in fat, richer in flavor. We just have to cut it thin. So how do you cut this thin? I'll show you. Either steak, you'll take it, you'll roll it up nice and tight. Then you need a very sharp knife with this, and with your knife, you're just going to shave this meat off. Just cutting through. See how thin I'm cutting this? Very thin. I'll just show you on the knife. Very, very thin. We need to make sure that we shred this really thin. Now, you can do the same thing with the bruschetta as well, where you take this, you cut it really thin. Just take your time. If you want, you can even take this, roll it a little tight like this, drop it into the freezer for a second, and you can shred it. But you need this to be very thin. You can use, as I said, the skirt steak like this, or if you wanted, you can take a piece of top round like this, nice and thin, that you get from your butcher. You don't even have to pound it thin. And then again, you're just cutting it very, very thin. Just shaving that off with, see how nice and thin we get? But you can see the two different meats here, that you have less fat content here than you do in the skirt steak. And the skirt steak is going to give you greater flavor. Now, to make this, I'm going to take this meat that I have right here, I'm going to put it onto a plate. I'm going to season this with a little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of cayenne, just to make sure it's nice and well seasoned. Now, in my pan right over here, and talk about brain food. In my pan right over here, I have some butter with some oil that I melted. And if we get doesn't that look like a face? There's me with hair. There's my nose, there's the mouth, the chin. So this is definitely, you know, if the butter and the oil melted together and to form a head, definitely looks like it's brain food for me. We're going to get this pan very hot. We're going to sear off this meat right here. In this pan right here, I have some onions that I caramelize very nicely. So I like to do the beef separate from the meat. So this pan, let's make sure this is nice and hot. We really want to make sure we're not going to actually drop the meat into this pan until we start to see the butter lightly brown. And the reason I put the butter in there is I put the butter in there for flavor, and it's also going to help the meat brown a little bit. So let's get this pan very, very hot. Great. Nice and hot. Good. We'll drop our meat in there. We're going to almost stir fry this. So when I say we're going to stir fry this, what we're going to do is drop the meat in here. If you cook this a long time and you allow too much of the moisture to come out of it, what will end up happening is it's going to get very tough. By cooking it very quickly like this, very, very quickly, I'm going to crank that one up there too, because once I've browned it a little bit like this, or at least cook the color out of it, that's all we have to do, cook the color out of it. Good. We now take this meat right here, drop it in with our onions, and we just mix this together. Now, to make the cheesesteak itself, I have some croissants here. All I did is they were regular size croissants I cut them down in size, and I dried them up in the oven just a little bit. We then take our cheesesteak mixture here, put it on one side, then on all we're going to do with this is a little bit of cheese on top. And we're going to pop this in the oven here for about 3 minutes just to melt that cheese. I'm going to get these in the oven, get this cheese melted. We're going to take a little break. And then when we come back, look at this plate right here because we're doing some fried cheese again with a delicious, wonderful dip that you don't want to miss. It's definitely brain food for the graduates today on Let's Cook. We'll be right back. Brain food. You know, when we talk about brain food, graduates, one thing that in doing the research for the show, we found that you need a lot of vitamin B. And any foods that are rich in B, which basically is the entire food chain, is good for the brain. You really want to stay away from caffeine, though, because that slows down the brain activity. You think faster, but it actually robs the body of nutrients that your brain actually needs to function. First thing we're going to do now to cover all those food groups is we're going to make an artichoke dip to go with our fried cheese. So I have some artichokes here. I have some beans. We have some parsley. Then we have some ripe olives or Clamato olives right there, either one. All we do with this is we puree this, and we add olive oil to it, seasoning it with pepper, no salt because of the amount of salt that's in the olive. So just a little bit of pepper here. 1, 2, 3. See, I'm so smart from eating this. It's done. It's so easy. See how nice this comes out? Look how great this looks, doesn't it? Nice and chunky. Oops. All absolutely delicious. So we have our artichoke dip done. Next, we have to go ahead and bread our cheese. Now, I'm using 2 types of cheese here. Right here on this plate right here, I have some little mozzarella, fresh mozzarella, and I also have a nice wedge of provolone cheese there. To bread these, I'm going to take them and I'm going to first put them into flour, shaking off that excess flour. Then from the flour, I put them in an egg wash. And I'll just do a couple of the mozzarellas here too. Now, it's a good idea if you want, because to freeze the cheese or lightly freeze the cheese before you do that. Then we just take our cheese right here, making sure it's well coated with the egg. And in this bowl right here, I have some fresh breadcrumbs, to which I'm adding some more grated cheese right here. We mix this together, pick up our cheese right here, and I'll show you how fast you fry this, because you cook this very, very quickly. It doesn't take long at all. And again, you need to make sure that these are well coated with the breadcrumbs. I can't use the fork. So just go around, nicely coated. And again, you can go ahead and bread this like this if you're doing this for your son or daughter's graduation, or your husband's or your wife's graduation. Do these ahead and you actually drop them in the freezer, take them up the next day, fry them very quickly, and then just pop them into the oven just to get them warm and melted through. It'll work very well too. Then we're going to take these and drop them into the pan to cook them. They're going to cook I have a few more done here. They're going to cook very quickly in the pan. So, and don't overcrowd your pan. This is about as much as you can put in there. Let me just get a pair of tongs, because the tongs actually work better than the spatula with this. Make sure you move them around so they don't stick. As soon as you have oops, that one came off. There we go. That one wasn't hot enough. It wasn't well breaded enough. Let's see this one here. Let's turn over our mozzarella here. Okay, good. Almost there. I'm just going to turn my pan up here a little bit. You don't want the pan too hot. You see how we're just getting it to melt just a little bit of color on there? Okay. Turn these over very quickly. There we go. Nice little color, especially the mozzarella balls. They're going to fry very quickly, and they're going to melt faster than the provolone. They're not as hard as the provolone cheese. Then you'll take these and you're going to put them on absorbent paper toweling just for a second, very quickly, pat them dry, and then these are good to go. You really don't want to try and cook them too long. And again, you can do this when they're partially frozen. Hold them in the oven, just making sure that the oven's only about 180 to 200 degrees. You don't want it to be too hot. And these are absolutely delicious. And we know how everybody absolutely loves fried cheese. Let's get to see how good this looks. Look how great that looks. This is exactly what's the look that you want to have with your cheese. Okay, I'm going to finish frying up the cheese here. We already showed you the plate of it, but then when we come back, we have some fried chicken wings flavored with a little bit of rosemary. Don't go anywhere. It's definitely graduates' food today on Let's Cook. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to Let's Cook. And food for the brain, or brain food, just graduation food. That's what we're talking about. Now, I thought about my son Greg when I came up with these items. So the next item we're doing is chicken wings. First, I have some beautiful wings here. I'm going to make a little marinade for the wings. I have some oil here. Along with the oil, I'm using some lemon juice and some lemon zest. Plus, I'm using rosemary too. Now, the rosemary, I'm just going to take the rosemary here. I'm going to pull it off the stems here. Move this out of the way here. We take the rosemary. You're going to pull it off the stems here. Now, you know what rosemary means. It's rose du mer, or rose of the sea. It originated along the Mediterranean, or that's where part of the origins were. And, rose du mer. There's also another meaning of it, and it's the rose of Mary, and the history on that is when Mary was fleeing Galilee with the baby Jesus, they stopped for the night, and she took her cloak, which was scarlet colored, and put it onto a bush that had a white flower. When they went to leave the next morning and she took her cloak off the bush, it had turned to the scarlet color of her cloak. Hence, Rose of Mary, or rosemary. But anyway, it's good with chicken wings. Take this, we mix this together, and we let this marinate. You're going to let this marinate overnight. Just stirring it around every once in a while. Oh, also, I forgot. Need a little bit of water in here just to cut the acid of the lemon juice. We want that flavor, but we need to cut that acid because we don't want to coagulate the proteins with the acid content of the chicken. So now you let these marinate overnight. I already have some done that are right over here that are marinated. To fry these now, I'm going to take these wings, put them, shaking off that excess marinade, putting them in flour right here. Let me just dry my hands here. Then we're going to take these, dust these with the flour. Then we're going to deep fry these. You're going to deep fry these till they're all the way cooked. Don't overload your fryer either. Just make sure that when you drop these in, you shake off that excess flour and you drop them in a separate location. Be careful with the hot oil. Watch your children if they're going anywhere near the hot oil. But we'll drop those in and let those start to fry. They're going to take about 12 minutes in the fryer. They take quite a bit of time. Now, I already have some done, which are right here in the bowl, and I have them in a strainer here, and I'll show you why. Because now we're going to make a sauce to go with these wings. Now, to make the sauce to go with these wings, I'm using butter right here. A little bit of butter. Also, with that butter, some rosemary, some lemon juice, and parsley. To bring out the flavor of everything, we're going to heat up this butter. And when we heat this butter up, it's going to bring out the flavor of those herbs. Then all we do to finish these wings, and so that we can reuse this sauce, because again, remember, this is loaded with butter. It's not necessarily the most heart healthy thing for you, but it is delicious. All we do is heat it up just like that, just till it warms up. Then we take our sauce here and we ladle it over the wings, making sure that they're well coated. The great thing about this is once you have done that with the wings, it's very easy. You get to go ahead and reuse all of this sauce. The only thing you have to do is add additional herbs to it. And here comes our chicken wings right here. If you like rosemary, if you like wings, this is a perfect wing for your loved one's graduation. Out of this world. Delicious. We're going to take a little break. And then when we come back, we're talking about a chicken thigh roll-up. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to Brain Food Graduation Day on Let's Cook. Now, the next item we're making is a flatbread sandwich with shredded chicken or chicken thighs. So the first thing we have to do is we're going to have to cook our chicken thighs. To do that, you're going to take a pan, put a little chicken stock in the pan, Then to the chicken stock, I'm adding a little peach brandy. That peach brandy is going to flavor that chicken thigh. Then we just take our boneless, skinless chicken thighs, we drop it in to the simmering liquid, and because of the fat content, we're going to allow this to simmer. It's going to simmer about 8 minutes in the broth. After it's simmered for about 8 minutes in the broth, this is exactly what it's going to look like. It's really going to tighten up, and we're going to allow this to cool down before we try to shred it. Then to shred it, you can do it with a knife, or what you can do is with your hands, you just start to pick the meat apart, and if you like, you can remove any of that fat as well. But see, we just go ahead and you pick that meat apart, shredding it into nice thin shreds like this. You need nice thin shreds for this sandwich. And that's our chicken thigh. So we have that already done. Now, we also need a little bit of a spread to go in this to keep it moist. So right here, I have some cream cheese. I'm going to take this cream cheese here, put this into a bowl. Along with that cream cheese, I have some marmalade here. What I did with the marmalade is I forced it through a, let's get a spatula here that can get this out. I forced it through a china cap or a strainer so I only have the flavor of the orange, but I don't have the rind itself. Then we're just going to take this, mix this together. You can do this on a mixer, you can do this by hand, but if you just work this for a minute, you'll get this nice and together. So we just take this and we mix this together so we have that wonderful orange flavored cream cheese here. Great. Doesn't this look good? Okay, good. And that's even mixed enough. You don't really have to mix it much more than that. Tastes so good. The other thing that we need is we need a little bit of shredded lettuce for this. We'll use romaine lettuce here. Take the romaine lettuce, and almost as if you were doing an herb, take this, make a nice roll of it this way. Then with your knife, just take it. You're going to shred it down because you need quite a bit of this shredded. This is going to give you great texture when you're making your sandwich. So we have a little bit of shredded lettuce here. Now, another component to this sandwich, cherry peppers. These are marinated cherry peppers. They're very spicy, very hot. So once you've cut into these and these seeds are extremely hot. Make sure you don't touch your face or anything else and remove all of these seeds. If these appear to be too hot for you to eat, what you can also do is you can still keep some of the heat. You can just rinse them off with a little bit of cold water and pat them dry. These we're also going to cut nice and small, really nice and thin. The other component that I'm using here is I have some pepper jack cheese. Let me just show you what this looks like. Here's a pepper jack cheese right here. See how nice that looks? Nice and thin pepper jack cheese. So we have two types of pepper going into this. Now to make the roll up here, you're going to take your flatbread right here. And then we just take a little bit of our cream cheese mixture right here. You're going to spread this right in the middle. Oh, good. Good. Then a little bit of lettuce. A little bit of our shredded chicken right here. Doesn't this look great? Beautiful. A little bit of pepper here. As much as you'd like. You can, and again, these are great because you can make these way ahead of time too. Okay. Once this is done, bring this over this way. Pull it very tight this way. Nice and tight. Roll it across this way. Now, the best thing that you can do with this sandwich is take this sandwich, make it a little bit ahead, and roll it in plastic wrap and let it sit in the refrigerator. What'll end up happening is the bread, because of the cream cheese and the moisture of the other vegetables, is going to soften up. Then when you go to serve it, it's going to be out of this world, and it's going to look just like the one we have over here, where we have the chicken with the peppers, with the jack cheese, with the lettuce, with the flavored cream cheese. Absolutely out of this world. So, for your loved one's graduation or for brain food, remember, 30% of your calories, all you guys, all you wonderful people in college out there, I don't want to say guys, all the people in college out there, remember, 30% of your day's calories are used by your brain, even more when you're in college. So make sure you eat foods that are good for you, that are well balanced, that contain a lot of vitamin C, a lot of vitamin B, and but also one other thing, make sure you enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching Let's Cook. You have a great day. And to all the graduates out there, congratulations and kudos to you. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.